Alright guys, was just lingering about doing some Mythic Pluses, and I realized online that there are almost no guides whatsoever. I couldn't find any catered towards for Demon Hunters or any tailored towards Demon Hunters on Google either. I actually had to look up the Mythic Plus rank tier list so that I could find a great player, add them, and ask them about talents. So that's what I've been doing over like the last 5 to 6 days, is kind of learning how to PvE in Mythic Pluses properly with a really good build. So now I know the proper build. I just flashed you there, the build. But I'm going to be, like, you guys can see it here. You can just copy paste it if you like, but I will be going over the important talent choices here and the minor ones and explaining why they're good and what preferences you can choose in each slot, so you know why they're best. When people understand why the talent they're choosing is best, they use it to the best of the ability. All right, they understand what their goal is in sight. Okay, so I'm gonna be going over the first tier. Essentially, for Mythic Pluses, you're gonna be running an AoE consistency demonic build. Alright, you're going to be comboing Blind Fury, Demonic Appetite, and Demonic. These are the main three that matter. I'd say Unleash Fury matters a lot as well. But in the first tier, of course, Fel Eruption is single target. Fel Mastery isn't as big of a DPS increase, even in combination with Momentum in AoE situations, because you only get 2 charges of Fel Rush, right? So even if you have that 30% increased damage to Fel Rush, so now it's 300k, and then there's press 20% on that, it's not a big enough DPS increase because you're going to be waiting 10 seconds to get another one out, right? So it's not worth it. So Blind Fury, it's just going to give you, I'll show you now, it's going to give you a lot of Fury on your I-Beam. Bam! Get meta, get I-Beam. Crazy. You're going to be comboing those two together. So the next tier is Demonic Appetite, and the reason you take this is because it summons Soul Fragments. With Shattered Souls, it reduces the cooldown of your I-Beam and your Nova, Chaos Nova, by 5 seconds per shard you consume. Okay? And you're going to be getting a lot of shards of this spec that are going to be healing you, so you're going to have a lot of self-sustain, which is important in Mythic Pluses, and you're going to be getting a lot of damage out. And you're going to be resetting the cooldowns on all of your abilities, so you'll have a great uptime on your Metamorphosis. So the next tier is a lot more controversial. Oh, so Demonic Blades, single target, of course. You don't want that in Mythic Plus, and Prepared isn't great in AoE situations or single target, in my opinion. It's more of a PvP talent. I'll get to that in a later video, though, how to really abuse it. So the next tier, the 102 tier, is Chaos Cleave, First Blood, and Bloodlet, of course. So Bloodlet is single target. You may think, oh, it's AoE, though. It hits everything. Well, that's not true. It hits the main target for the full amount, and everything else for only... what was it, second, let me Google this. I can't remember the exact percentage. I know it's a lot less though. 15%. So 15%, and then of course that stacks with your talent here, Balanced Blade, which is for every enemy. It's a 3% DPS increase. That's mainly single target. Of course, it does affect that 15%, so it can get up to like 27% or whatever. But overall, it's going to be very bad in an AoE situation. It's going to be best in single target. Bloodlet, of course, is really good AoE, especially if you combo it with, where's my wrist? With Moarg Biotic Stabilizers, right? So it's 25% damage increase per enemy hit, right? So if you have 6 enemies, it's going to be, you know, 150% damage increase for your Bloodlet, and then that bleed is just going to be smacking because your Throat Glade's hitting so much harder. 150% of that damage is becoming a bleed, so it's just bam, you're going to be destroying something. You stack it twice with Master of Glaive. However, it's still less of a DPS increase than Chaos Cleave, and I'm going to explain why. So the maximum simmed DPS output for Bloodlet with the legendaries, okay, with the legendaries, keep that in mind, is 27%.5. There's a lot more decimals, I won't get into it, increase in DPS, okay, and that's with 5 mobs, right? So that's 5 mobs. So that's essentially almost overstating the amount of DPS you're going to be doing with it, because Throatglaive actually only hits 2 targets. So this is taking into account that you not only are hitting like 2 of the targets with Throatglaive, but you actually tab target and hit the other 2 with Throatglaive as well. So you get like 4 bleeds instead of just 2, because Throatglaive only hits twice. Chaos Cleave, however, think of Chaos Cleave. I'm explaining why this is better. Think of Chaos Cleave as, oh wow, a 10% damage increase to my Chaos Strike, right? So Chaos Strike. bam, it hits the target on the side there, as you can see. However, that's per enemy. So of course, with one enemy near your main target, that's a 10% increase. With 2 enemies, that's a 20% increase. With 3 enemies, that's a 30% increase. And with 4, that's a 40% increase. Most trash packs, almost all trash packs in Mythic Plus are 4+ mobs, 4 to 6 or more mobs. So that means you're going to be getting a minimum 40% DPS increase on your Chaos Strike. And upwards of 60 to 70%, which is ridiculous. You're just going to be smacking people with this Chaos Cleave. And the biggest reason why it's so powerful is because when your Chaotic Onslaught talent, as you can see here, right, Chaotic Onslaught, 10% chance for Chaos Strike to slash an additional time. That additional Chaos Strike, of course, not many people know this, procs Chaos Cleave. So not only, let's say you have 4 mobs and you hit them and a Chaos Onslaught procs, right, like you Chaos Cleave. So now your Chaos Cleave hits twice, right, off one Chaos Strike. All of a sudden, instead of a 40% increase, you have an 80%. If you have 6 mobs, that's a 120% damage increase. It's ridiculously how powerful this is, especially when your Chaotic Onslaught procs. Very powerful. You guys should definitely abuse it. So the next tier, it's up to you really. Desperate Instincts can save you, but in a Mythic Plus, typically you'll just get one shot before like Desperate Instincts will proc, or a proc and you'll just die anyways. Netherwalk, if you're good with situational awareness and you see something coming or like a big AoE, you know you can just stand in it instead of jumping away. You just Netherwalk, bam. I recommend a cancel aura macro. Simple as this. Cancel aura Netherwalk in a macro, bam, you can press it, and then in the beginning of the macro, just put /cast Netherwalk. So what will happen is you'll cast Netherwalk by pressing it once, you press it twice, and it will cancel. Soul Rending is my personal choice because you're gonna be in demonic so often. You're gonna be in your metamorphosis so often that you're gonna be healing so much. You'll save your healer so much mana. She'll never have to heal you ever in her life. You'll just be cleaving, healing, going crazy. Momentum, of course, is extremely powerful, and I want to explain something to you about momentum in combination with Vengeful Retreat. So let's say this is a mob you're fighting. That's another mob over there on the right. Let's say there's 4 mobs here. So your goal here, I'll show you the rotation, is to Illidari, jump back. Okay, 1 second. I should have gotten Fury because that's what you'd normally do. So you'd Illidari. Actually, I'm just gonna cut in the video up until where I do this prop abilities. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna Illidari. I've already used it, but you're gonna Illidari, bam, with some Fury, jump back, 20% damage increase automatically, of course. However, something people don't know is that Vengeful Retreat has the exact perfect amount of space or yards between it and I-Beam. So it's a 20-yard range. Vengeful Retreat launches you 20 yards back. So you can always Vengeful Retreat for that 20% damage increase, and you will always be able to I-Beam. You will always be in range. I'll show you right now. So I'll I-Beam. Of course it hits, because I'm perfectly in range every time. Now you want to be comboing it in this situation, so Illidari, retreat, I-Beam, jump back in, and start spamming your Chaos Strike, right? So that's how you're going to be using your highest DPS potential in an AoE situation when you're abusing momentum properly. Fell Eruption is really single target. You're going to be using momentum the most in this build because you're going to be abusing I-Beam a lot. Like you'll have I-Beam, you'll get shards, you'll just have I-Beam, you'll momentum every time you I-Beam, and then you get free 20% damage increase, momentum again so that the proc explodes for an extra 20%. Bam, it's like you have a passive 20% all the time. It's ridiculous. So, of course, Fell Eruption single target, Nemesis is single target as well. Neither of those are really great in Mythic Pluses in this situation. Master Glaive you can combo with Bloodlight if you have the Legendary, however Chaos Cleave is an overall better DPS increase with Chaotic Onslaught procs. Unleash Power. So, the reason why this is important, reduce cooldown of Film Nova by 33%, and it makes it instant. So you can bam, oh wow look, a shard procced. You might be wondering why. Well, you go into your artifact, look at your overwhelming power trait, 60% chance to generate a lesser soul fragment. Of course, I have a relic that increases it by 10%. But that's per target, so if you have 4 targets, you're going to be getting like minimum 3 or 4 shards, and each one that's so let's say you get 4 fragments that spawn, well that's 20 seconds off your I-Beam automatically. That's how powerful it is. It's ridiculous. 20 seconds off just from a stun. And each one of those shards that it spawns itself reduces its own cooldown by 5 seconds as well. So I'll spam here. Okay, I didn't get any shards that time, but I'll spawn some shards here. See, I'll eat those shards. Watch the cooldown on Chaos Nova. As soon as I get some shards, of course. Anyways, you get the point. No shards are spawning. Anyway, so Chaos Nova not only is instant, does great damage, and is an instant CC for Mythic Plus. It also resets the cooldown on your I-Beam and itself, so you can just spam it for heals and for damage, pretty much. Demonic Reborn is really powerful as well, of course, because you can essentially back-to-back I-Beam. I need to tell you this tip though. Okay, this is something that's really important. So how Demonic works is before you could always I-Beam. Let's say you got your I-Beam back before the first one fell off. Okay, before you could stack I-Beams. So you'd be able to I-Beam, and then before this fell off, if you got your I-Beam back, you could I-Beam, and it would increase the duration of this current meta by 8 seconds. And it was the same for this meta, of course, right? It was the same for this meta. Now how it works is your Demonic will only increase the duration of your current meta once, alright? Just once. It won't do it any more than once. So I'll see if I can get some shards here real quick to show you. Okay, I'm just getting unlucky on procs right now. Okay, so see, watch, it increases by 8 seconds. I hope I can get some procs, enough procs to reset it in the meantime. Alright, I got RNG'd out. Whatever, it happens. You know, it's very unlikely that it'll happen. But it'll only increase the cooldown of your current meta by 8 seconds once. Keep that in mind, it's really important. Fel Barrage, great AoE, especially in combination with the momentum. However, Demonic's going to be more healing and more AoE DPS overall, since Fel Barrage has such a long cooldown. Like, think of this as a 45-second cooldown, because I-Beam's 45 seconds, and it's going to be reduced by every shard you eat. Chaos Blades, best single target. Alright, so now that's out of the way, I'm going to be going over the best Legos, in my opinion, and from what I found online. Number 1 is Lormus Theopolis Sacrifice. Increases the damage of Fel Rush for each target hit. So again, let's say there's 4 or 5 targets here. That's a 50% damage increase plus the 20% from momentum. It's going to be hitting like a truck. And it's especially powerful since you are going to be abusing momentum as this build. So you need to momentum, I-Beam, momentum back. You just hit their entire team twice for a 70% damage increase. Fel Rush, or 60% or 40% or however many mobs there are. Plus you I-Beamed, you know, like plus you stun and Ildari, you'll just be doing like nuts damage. Alright, so that's the first legendary out of the way. I don't have the other legendary that I believe is best. It's also one of the top tier in rating as well, and that's the Cascading Eyes. Right? So with this Lego, so it reduces the cooldown of I-Beam by 0.3 seconds each time it hits an enemy, which is ridiculous because you can hit a lot of enemies in Mythic Pluses with an I-Beam, which literally with this legendary almost makes your I-Beam. You'll never be out of Demonic with this. But remember, you can't just keep spamming Demonic. If you get an I-Beam before your current meta falls off, or if your meta's still up, don't use it. Wait until your meta falls off. The second it falls off, use it again, so you can keep that rolling. Or it just won't give you the extra time on it. It'll be a waste. You'll give you the Fury still, but not the form. Alright, so that's the talents and the legendaries gone over for the most part. That's about everything I have to say. I hope I gave you guys some insight into how Demon Hunter should be speccing and why these talent choices are used for Mythic Pluses. So yeah, have a good one, guys.
I'm gay.